Hey, Anthony, how's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, good. So Anthony Petitte of TruckPark is joining us today. Anthony, for the audience that doesn't know you, doesn't know about TruckPark, talk a little bit about your company and kind of what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for getting me on here. I really do appreciate it. I'm very excited to tell everybody about Truck Park and what we're doing for the future. A little bit about Truck Park is that first of all, we are a platform that allows the truck driver to find, reserve, and pay for parking all in real time. And with that, we have an application that's actually focused to owner operators as well as the independent drivers. And so, as I was alluding to, the driver can find, reserve, and pay, but on the operator side, we have the suppliers, and those are parking owners, and they actually have facilities where we work with them to improve their financial bottom line, which is helping them increase their occupancy rates, which is also bringing them actual visibility, data visibility into the market. So with that, we have a marketplace, and we're connecting the supply with the demand.
So you have a super interesting history, especially kind of given what you've been doing in the industry. So talk to the audience a little bit about that. Talk about how you started in logistics and trucking and like how you founded this company or how you kind of spotted the need for this.
Absolutely. So we get this question a lot, and we only have one answer every time. And it's really the way I got into trucking was through family. And my late uncle, who unfortunately passed in 2018, he actually was a Teamster for many years. And not only was it Teamster, but he owned a parking facility in the South Side Chicago. And with that, he asked me for help. I actually have 6 years in digital marketing. And so with that, I actually helped bring the demand to his supply. He actually had a parking facility way in the South Side Chicago that was kind of behind like a factory, so to speak. And with that, there wasn't a lot of visibility to his parking facility, and not a lot of drivers knew where he was. Or companies would call and say, "Where is your facility? We've done some surveying, and we couldn't even find where this is." And so I actually helped bring that to fruition. I helped bring it to light by working on his marketing, building up a website, making sure that drivers knew where he was. And so from there, started calling other operators in the area because I knew that I can not only help my uncle, but I can help more people. And it's always been a thing for myself, which is why Truck Park's mission is to empower the truck driver. So that said, I started calling parking facilities, started reaching out, asking operators, "Hey, I can bring you demand. Would you be interested in giving me your supply?" And they were very receptive. And just in the very beginning of Truck Park days, we had 5 parking facilities, and those were all all located here in Chicago. And then I also actually met my partner Joshua, and Joshua's brother is a over-the-road and regional driver. Spent his first couple of years as a over-the-road for hire driver. Now more regional, doing local hauls, but has explained and given us the pain points of the industry and said, and we've done surveys with hundreds of drivers, but he would always come back and say, "Hey, out of all the problems in the industry, I've always had the hardest and most difficult problem finding a parking space, especially as a for-hire driver." And so we immediately actually got together, met at a Panera. As traditional as that sounds, we, maybe had a latte and an egg McMuffin or whatever we had at Panera, and we just sat down. We started talking about all the possibilities of how we could build Truck Park to be successful and what it is today.
So how does it work exactly? Explain to me sort of what the app's kind of doing. In particular, is it finding all parking spots, or what's occurring with this? How's a carrier or trucker using it?
Yeah, so right now we have an app that's, as I was saying, focused to the independent and owner operator. And so we are constantly, in fact, we have a sales team that constantly calls and tries to get as much supply as they possibly can. In terms of total addressable market, you have 3.5 million truck drivers. 1.6 million of those drivers are for hire drivers, meaning they're searching for parking 215 days out of the year. And searching for parking at the end of their hours of service, so the last hour pretty much of productivity, and that is dedicated to finding a parking spot. In fact, there's 400,000 parking spaces out there. So right now, on our application to date, we have 4,700 spaces. So we're really excited about what we have. And another look at that is that we actually pride ourselves in looking at security. TruckPark has a standard of certificate for security. So we don't go after any single lot that has parking spaces. We go after a lot that are structured with those parking spaces, meaning that we look at camera surveillance, we look at man guard, we look at keypad entry. We're very secure, and we make sure that we're going after the independent drivers, the owner operators, and even the carriers that have high risk payloads. And so we want to make sure that they're safe, not only in the lot, but outside the lot as well, which is why our application, to answer your question also, it allows the driver to route plan. It allows the drivers or the carriers to route plan and make actually better choice, better decisions, and actually improve their hours of service productivity. So if you can eliminate that last hour that drivers are circling around for parking, then you have a whole extra hour to go out and do a pickup or delivery.
Right. So I think it makes sense, but talk to me a little bit about why does it matter so much? That hour of circling and kind of trying to find that stuff. Is this because of the whole ELD that like this counts towards a driver's kind of time on the road, and if they're spending this much time looking for parking, it's really hurting kind of their ability to serve and deliver on time?
Absolutely. So in terms of when the ELD did come out in December 2017, it obviously was a game changer. I mean, truck drivers had to do a whole new active driving. It was no longer, burning the midnight hour and trying to get a load across the country and not have to worry about hours. And then the hours sort of regulations were tied to that. And of course, you had to pull over after 11 hours and, all these different wait times and whatnot. So the biggest impact for drivers is that they have this crunch amount of time. And in the crunch time, they have to go find a parking space. And if they don't find a parking space, it's kind of ties back to Jason's law, right? Remember Jason's law when Jason Riverbird pulled out of a shipper location, couldn't park at the shipper, had to go find parking, parked in an abandoned gas station, and lost his life, unfortunately. Well, it happens a lot of time to drivers. They pull into these abandoned gas stations, or they pull into back alleys because they don't want to pay for parking. And truthfully, it is expensive to pay for parking some of the time, but right. It's worth it. It's worth it to protect your payload from cargo theft, which there's a huge percentage of cargo theft in the industry. And then it's also worth it to protect your own life. And you know that you're okay. You can jump in your sleeper berth. You can get a good night's rest, and you can be more productive and more active, and your well-being will be accounted for as you get on the road.
Yeah, it's funny. I just watched I don't know if you're watching Last Dance, the whole Bulls. You have to be, right? You're Chicago-based. You got to be watching that Last Dance on ESPN. But then they talk about how Jordan's dad got just pulled over the side of the road and was killed. It was just one of those random things. It's fascinating, especially right now. I'm possibly going to be talking to someone shortly about PPE theft with transportation and all the ways to keep safe. And like you're saying, it's all about that security, but you got the time crunch too. Now, my guess are kind of my dumb sort of thinking about this is most of your typical users are probably made up of that newer driver entering the marketplace, because I feel like those old school truckers, like the Smokey and the Bandit guys, they know all these parts. They know all where they're going, where to park and stuff like that. But is that the case? Is it really kind of most of your user base is younger, or what are you seeing with who's adopting this app?
That's a great question. So it's very interesting. The data that we've pulled out is that we do get the younger crowd, but we are also getting the older generations in the industry as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. And I would say the newer generations are more receptive to making a parking spot because it's not really the cost in their minds. It's like, I just want to be safe, right, especially when I'm on the road and I'm a new driver. So, some of them even say, they humble themselves. They're like, well, I feel more comfortable to be in a parking location where I know, or where even if I don't know where it is, you provide the visibility on where that is. I don't know every single, back alley across the U.S. I've been on the road for 35 years. Now, the older generations will, maybe they have found a spot and that is like their golden spot, and they want to share it. And they should share it because they've been doing it for 35 years. But things also change. Sometimes that spot was maybe a mall that has been, shut down and rebuilt, and now they lost a parking spot. So there's a lot of reasons why TruckPark's application can be so necessary for the driver, but really it can be new generation and old generation use the app. And we're actually, which is interesting, is we're trying to do this whole thing with the OIDA right now, and going after the older generations and saying, look, it's not just the new generations that can do the technology. We make it very seamless. We purposely built our app. In fact, our app is actually built by drivers. We met with 300 drivers before we even built development of the app. And so we made sure that the application was going to be very simple for the driver to use. I mean, whatever age you are, and whether you're very technically savvy or you don't even use a cell phone, it's
right.
really easy to use.
And at the same time, I mean, they have to adopt technology. The ELD is making it that you don't get to be the paper and pen, I never touch a phone person. And it just makes sense. I know we talked about this, but talk to me a little bit about the integrations you guys offer. Because I think that's another fascinating point to why it's something that's just becoming keystone to doing the job. What type of integrations do you guys have?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of integrations, and integrations are what we really drive this business. I mean, it's really exciting because we've also looked at the data, and we've built the app for the driver in mind, but also we know that drivers have between 7 to 10 apps already for productivity, and that's just a lot of tools. And so we made the integrations happen so that now truck drivers can go into these apps, and in-app they can make reservations. So no longer do you really have to, yes, you have to download the TruckPark app once, but you don't have to continue using it. You can use it, for example, with a recent partnership with Trucker Tools. Trucker Tools will allow the truck driver to go in there, type, press the parking application, the app will open up in a TruckPark, and then they'd be able to use the service in-app of Trucker Tools. So essentially, you don't have to keep downloading all these additional applications. So that's one of the integrations we did.
Oh, that's genius. Like that idea of like having you integrated with other apps is fascinating. I didn't know about that whole 7 apps, like 7 to 8 apps. That's ridiculous. Like, how do you keep up with that? How do you keep it top of mind when you're in the moment? Because that's the whole thing with the app, right? You're pulling it up because you want to do something right at that moment. How would you remember, like, oh, my app number 6 could do this, but like integrating is huge. What other type of integrations do you guys have?
Yeah, so we did an integration with Genie MD. That was probably the latest service page integration. So we have a service page that we are actually building right now for the industry, and it's going to have just a ton of small little integrations that we're going to be just sweet enough for the industry to get a little taste of how and what we're doing to empower the truck drivers, going back to our mission, going back to what's so exciting for truckers. And so that partnership that we did was with Genie MD, and they are a company based out of San Francisco, California. They focus on telehealth services, and now they're getting into the transportation space. So we thought it was so cool to be the first one, not the first one ever to integrate with the telehealth, but the first one to integrate with Genie MD. And we're just very excited about that. In fact, truck drivers will have on-demand access to drivers. It's called an asynchronous process. So what that means is a truck driver can simply fill out like a 10, 15 questionnaire survey on what their health is, and they can actually get on-demand access. They can actually use their phone in their sleeper berth or the cabs, or if they're at a hotel, and talk with a live doctor. In fact, that doctor can write them scripts to any local pharmacy they are in the country. So they don't have to be in their hometown to go pick up a prescription. They can be in the middle of Montana, in the middle of the mountains, and go find a local pharmacy that holds their prescription. So we really wanted to make it convenient, but we also wanted to make it an easy experience for the driver.
What's the reaction to that, Ben? Because I got to imagine people are probably stoked about this. I know a lot of the reopening talk is about how do you keep everyone safe and healthy, but you don't think about that. You don't think about the 1.6 million over-the-road truck drivers who aren't in their town. They don't have those like comforts of like, here's my like primary, here's my physician, I can go get these things. Like, what's been their reaction to this announcement?
Yeah, they've been very reactive, actually. But I mean, I think it's like kind of like a mixed bag, and I'll want to be as transparent as possible. I don't think everybody knows about what we're doing yet. I was on Road Dog this weekend with Ellen Voy from Women in Trucking, and we talked about it, and a couple of drivers got on the radio and they were said, "Yeah, this is very interesting." That's a few out of millions of drivers, so we
Right.
definitely continue to press in there, and maybe hopefully this segment, this opportunity will expose to all the drivers out there saying, "Hey, we care about you. We look after your well-being. We want to make sure that you have an option." And TruckPark offering the service. If you go through the TruckPark application, it's 100% free to go look at, to go download that application. And I believe the process is $49, and it's like a quarter of what it costs to actually go to a doctor's visit. In fact, I know from working and doing the partnership with them, you don't necessarily have to even have, like, I think you can have minimum liability insurance, but you don't have to have this crazy healthcare insurance. So it makes it easy for that user, the driver, to talk to the doctor. They don't have to go through all this red tape. As we both know, trying to get to doctor, especially today in COVID, it's like going through all this red tape. You're climbing all these wires to even talk because you have a headache or something. You feel like something's wrong with you. But
Right.
now, just do it from your phone. It's that easy.
Yeah, especially with the whole like, hey, if you feel sick, don't go to work. Like that's probably gonna be one of the most biggest nightmares those guys have to deal with. I mean, because what are you supposed to do? You're driving. I feel sick. Like I can't get the attention. I can't stop and just go to the doctors. Like they're all saying you have to. So yeah, as we enter that new normal, this Genie MD integration is going to be fascinating. Uh, Talk to me a little bit more about some like I think the last kind of integration to talk about, especially the one for kind of my audience, which is more that shipper audience, is your integration with Doc 44. How does that work out? What will that help a shipper with kind of becoming a shipper of choice?
Yeah, absolutely. Doc 411 was actually one of our original integrations, and they're our preferred partners. Great company. In fact, the CTO and co-founder of the company, we've actually became great friends, and Doc 411 offers that visibility, that doc information to the shipper. And what we're doing is, in fact, what we've already done is actually create a opportunity for drivers that are stuck in those detention times, they're stuck at the shipper facility. They can actually use that time while they're waiting to make a reservation to TruckPark's application. And so when you get out of the shipper, when you finally get out of your detention, you already have a parking spot. And so you don't have to worry about hours of service and the clock rushing in on you, and all of a sudden you're freaking out because you don't know where the heck you're going to park, or maybe a parking facility is 5 miles away. Now you can actually plan your route. You can plan and make a reservation ahead of time while you're sitting in your truck or you're eating a sandwich or whatever you're doing during your detention time, and you can get a parking spot, a safe, guaranteed spot, and your spot will be there when you arrive. So if it is 5 miles and you are racing against the clock, you're going to get there right on time, and you're not going to be, subject to any citations or punishment because you went out over hours of service. So we're really excited about what we've done with Doc 411, and there's more to come. So we'll just keep everybody to stay tuned for that. We're doing a lot of stuff with Doc 411, and we're just super excited about that relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like, especially for a shipper, it's kind of just that whole idea of creating the better relationship with the carrier. And if you're using Doc 411 and you've had like with the truck park and someone's there in detention, the ELD is coming up. Like that's the biggest issue. That's the thing they're all worried about. That's where the service really matters. I know we were talking earlier, and the thing that you told me that I love this sort of conversation piece that you said was, I'm trying to pull it up, of more regulation, meaning the more you can help truckers gain hours, the better the service. And I feel like that's a big thing that you're experiencing, you're seeing of that kind of integration. Is that right? Are you kind of hearing a lot of like, hey, because of your app, because of like you integrating all these things, and I don't have to worry about all this stuff, I'm able to kind of have this better service, I'm able to get my hours and not have that stress at all.
Yeah, I mean, we're just super excited about that, but we're also, with hours of service, it's tough for drivers, and I don't want it to become a pain video for drivers. That's not the purpose of the segment, but it is a pain,
Right.
so to speak. Drivers, they're over the road and they are constantly going back and forth from state to state, and especially long haul drivers are going even sometimes cross borders, and it's tough, and you don't always know where you are.
Right.
Even if you're an older generation driver, as I was saying before, it doesn't mean your spot's going to be there because it was there in 1995. Things change. So, and we do understand for drivers doing so much, and let's be honest, they get so little in return, and we want to do more for them. We kind of want to, meet them at a balance, if not overcompensate, and give them everything that they can possibly get, and also give them what they deserve. I mean,
Right.
if drivers are listening, drivers, you deserve everything. You guys are the heroes of this economy. You're not just the heroes of the transportation industry, you're the heroes of the economy. I mean, the entire world. What you do is a service to all of us as we sit home, in our bedrooms or offices, and you're out there and you're constantly moving product, and you're going above and beyond on the front lines. So we want to show our appreciation for you, and we want to be as helpful as we can to be for you, so that you can do what you do best. And so I don't want to get circling around the question here. I know we're talking about the pain points. We're talking about how difficult it is. Hour of service is a crunch time, but we also want to let you know that you're not alone, and that we want to do whatever we can to help.
That's the most important thing of it all. It's that they're human. They're everyday people like you and I. It's a different world. And it's one of those things that you got to kind of be exposed to and think about it, because you're not thinking about it. You're upset that like, hey, this driver didn't get here on time, or like this package was sort of a thing, but you're not thinking about like this person, when they go to sleep at night, need to have security, and they only have 30 minutes to find that. Like, and you and I are like, okay, I can walk to bed. Like, I fell asleep on the couch. It's all fine. Like, they don't get that type of stuff. And like apps and technology like you bring to the place are vital. And the fact that you're also integrating, you're making it something where someone doesn't have to just download your app and like you understand that the reality is they're using everything, and it's fascinating. It's super smart. It sounds like you guys, you were designed by truckers. You had their input. So you get all that kind of the pain points and stuff. It's awesome. I love to hear the reaction. I love to hear as you kind of keep rolling out and hearing all these different integrations, what you're hearing from the truckers and stuff. What's next? I know you kind of teased a little bit about all the different things, but what's a little bit, what are you looking forward to? I mean, it's going to be probably fascinating as like companies again open up. I hate to make this coronavirus like related, but I mean, it's the fact of the matter of what we're living in. And as we start talking about reopening, I'm sure you guys are going to be a huge piece of technology for people, just giving the different safety measures and everything. So what are you guys thinking? Where are you looking for kind of what's coming up?
Yeah, so we do have a big product that we are set to launch in 3 weeks, and as excited as I am, in fact, I was on a Road Dog and talking about this with Ellen and trying to get me to say what it is, and if it was just for me, I would just expose it to the world.
Right.
But we do have a really big piece of technology that's coming out. In fact, what I can say is to be focused on the carrier. And as everybody knows, our application, which is actually free for drivers to download, and our application is for independent owner operators. Now we're going after the carriers. Now we're going after the carriers, their dispatchers, their fleet managers, their safety managers. We're going to create and automate a tool that's going to help them out. And again, I'm just about to let it slip from my tongue, but I want to make sure that everybody to stay tuned. In about 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to see something that's going to be a game changer. We're hoping to revolutionize the market in this opportunity. I think it's going to be huge. I mean, we've already have a couple of carriers that are piloting it that think this is like the next best thing since sliced bread. So we're hoping only the carriers that are listening to us right now will want to be as excited as we are about what we're about to launch.
So how do they keep their ear to the ground? How do they hear about from you? Where should they be checking out? What's some of like the locations that they should be following you at?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely LinkedIn. We're always on LinkedIn. And if you just go to LinkedIn's TruckPark page, you can follow us and keep up to date on all our activities. In fact, the integrations that we're coming out with as well, which I'm super excited. I can't unfortunately share it on this segment today, but you will see those hopefully this month and next month. And You can also follow us on Twitter as well. We have Twitter TruckPark page and Facebook. We are mostly on LinkedIn and Twitter. Facebook, we are doing as what we can, the best as we can.
You're a former digital marketer. You know the truth about Facebook at this point. You're like, okay, Facebook will do something with. We get it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but what we are doing, and what I can announce, which is actually very interesting, is that we are doing a huge campaign with Kites. And between Kites and TruckPark, we are actually providing pizzas to parking facilities all over the country that TruckPark has in our inventory. And some of these operators want, depending on the size of their facility, how many truck drivers go there on that particular day. But we have a budget for, I think it's 800 to 1,000 pizzas that we're going to be distributing all across the U.S. And so we're just super excited about that. It's really interesting. Again, that's with Kites, also a company, supply chain company based out here in Chicago. And that's an initiative and another way that we can go out there and present to our drivers. But what I was getting into that, not just being promotion, but I want to be tasteful with it because it's really to help the truck driver. What I was getting at was we are also guerrilla marketing. So maybe not as much as COVID-19, so I don't want to spread anything, but we out there, we go to truck stops, we walk around, my partner and I, and we want to make sure that drivers know that we're not a company that sits in the ivory tower and, makes decisions from, the 57th floor, but we actually go out to truck stops and, we get our knees dirty and we talk to drivers, we buy them lunch, we do whatever it takes just so that we could be there on the front lines with them. And, we're not out there, hauling loads, but we're out there shaking hands and trying to make a difference as much as possible.
It makes so much sense too. I mean, your app is based off of trust. Like you need the truckers to trust that you know the security of these lots, that you know that it's the most up to date. It makes tons of sense if you got to get that word of mouth out there, get them to know you guys and really talk about it. It must be fun. It must be a blast to kind of go to those things and provide them this tool that is very useful. It's something that they're probably like, oh, damn, you got me lunch and this? I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. The only thing I want to talk to you, and we probably could cut this out if it's too much, but I know Chicago right now is kind of becoming that tech hub of transportation and logistics, especially kind of where a lot of companies are. A lot of people I'm talking to are kind of based in there. What's it like being in Chicago right now? Song before COVID, but what's it like with that kind of, is there an energy? Is there a feel? Like, how's it happening there? Because there's just a ton of new technology companies kind of popping up in Chicago. Is it a blast or what's happening? We're in Boston, so I'm completely, it's like, yeah, we get technology, but just that energy seems like it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening in Chicago, right? You have so many great companies, as we just mentioned, Kites and supply chain, and you have Load Delivered. They're another great company for LTL, refrigerated, and Redwood Logistics and Echo Logistics. I mean, there's just so much happening here, even since the beginning days, right? American Backhaulers and then Command Transportation, Echo Logistics. Now, just all over the last 20 years, there's just been so much energy and so much focus and what's that word? Like emergence, really,
right.
into the transportation logistics industry. So, in fact, statistically speaking, 2/3 of all transportation comes through Chicago. That's on rail, that's air, that's and ground transportation. And so we're prideful in that. We're excited what Chicago's doing. Even the investor focus is becoming more transportation. I know Chicago Ventures recently invested in Forger Logistics, and we're just really excited about the growth for Chicago in the transportation field. And like I was saying, the 2/3 of the country comes here, whatever it is, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah. It's going to be a blast. Yeah, actually, we talked to Forger recently, but it's going to be a blast. I mean, the innovation, you guys everyone's right there. It's your neighbors. So, like, especially like finding the resources in transportation can be a pain sometimes. Like, if you're just searching, it's not really that well out there. But your neighbor is the one doing the stuff. You can't like build off each other and kind of build this better system. It sounds like it's got to be just fun as hell to kind of be a part of.
Absolutely. And just to add one last thing, not only is it just, the transportation companies, the logistics companies, but there is also companies that are focused in logistics transportation that are helping companies grow, like Carrier Direct is another big one. And I know Ryan Schreiber heads up, and he heads up that whole division of the technology and getting into different companies and whatnot. And he's such a big advocate in the trucking industry. He's also always on LinkedIn, and he has his own show, and he's so energetic and so excited to be out there and helping so many drivers and carriers and companies and shippers and whatnot. So there's just a lot of love here in Chicago. So what's going on.
Yeah, it's just again, I don't know why I'm so jealous. I'm like, I'm in Boston. There's fun stuff here, but just the vibes I'm getting out of Chicago seem to be a really fun type of thing. It just seems that there's an energy there. Like, I wonder, do you guys feel the difference? Like, do you feel like, hey, we're doing something kind of special here? You're at the start of like this kind of new growth in an industry. It must be a blast.
It is a blast. It is. So we can only hope that once COVID-19 is finally over, that more people continue to come to Chicago and see all the amazing growth that companies have done and will do in the future.
Awesome. All right, Anthony. If they want to get in contact with you, I'm guessing LinkedIn's the best way. Like, follow TruckPark on LinkedIn, but also reach out to Anthony.
Yeah, they can reach out to Anthony and Joshua too, which are the founders of the company, and do not hesitate to do that. In fact, you could just reach out directly to info@truckpark.com. That's probably the best way to get directly in touch with the owners of the company.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for letting me be on here. Thank you.
Of course. See ya.
And that's our show. Have a question about TruckPark? Ask it in the comments section, and we'll be sure to get Anthony to answer. In the meantime, subscribe and share our show. Thanks for watching Consulting Logistics. I'm Kyle McNaught. Rock and roll.